Hi, it's me again with Corel Roll Tips and Tricks. And somebody sent me this file. It's going to have little mirrors in it. Don't know what size mirrors, so you're going to have to uh, figure that out. But it doesn't trace where the flip. And you could spend a little bit of time or a lot of time trying to recreate this or something like it. I did this in not too much time whatsoever. And all I did is went on the internet and got a clip art of some spindles. I made them really small. I'm going to trace bitmap clip art. And I'm only going to use a few of them. I'm going to ungroup them and I'm going to grab that one, and you can see they're separated and there's nothing wrong with them. Then I'm just going to move these out of the way. Now, where I said before that you could spend a little bit of time or a lot of time on them, getting them perfect. Let's just do one to get a little bit more perfect. I'm going to hit P and put it in the center of the page. As a matter of fact, let's bring all these down a little closer. And to make it more perfect, I would left click, right click, and I would bring in a line is at least as long as that and hit P. And that's going to kind of cut it right in half. And then you're going to kind of look and see which one's better, and either side is either one of them are equal, so cut that away. And then I know he's going to cut this out, I think, on a CNC type router. So we need to go to the smoothing tool and click on that item and smooth it out a little bit. And then with that kind of smoothed out, I'm going to see what my nudge factor is. And I'm going to set my nudge factor on like 2 inches. And I'm going to nudge this one out of the way. Then I'm going to make a duplicate and put it back. And then I'm going to change it a little bit so you have more than one spindle. And like right here, this has a node right there. We can delete that. We could bring this up, probably delete that. We got a totally different spindle. We could do more with it with the, move these out, making the spindle a little bit bigger. I'm going to call that good. I've got something going on right here, multiple nodes. I'm going to delete them. You can take and curve this out. And then I'm going to Control D and make a duplicate and move this over. I'm going to get rid of my line, and I'm going to take the Smart Fill tool and fill that in. And so I've got a total different spindle. I'm going to hit P and put that in the middle, back to the middle of the page. Whoop. I'm going to nudge this over back and use that one as, be a little bit different spindle. And you could work on that quite a bit. Control D and make a duplicate, and holding down the control button, just move it over. We'll get rid of our line, take the Smart Fill tool and fill that in. And you can see we have 2 different looking spindles. Now I'm going to take these new spindles and I'm going to left click, right click. And then we'll go ahead and use these spindles as they are. They could use a little bit of work. I'm going to left click, right click. I'm not going to clean them up, but you would probably need to. And, maybe even take this one and move it up a little bit. Have a different, maybe even delete those spindles and see what happened. Maybe kind of going backwards here, and this would be one of those cases you'd want to put it in the center of the page to do that. But I don't like that sharp edge. And you could do other things to get that same effect. Like you could go to like the midpoint right there, hold down the shift and the control button and go to that edge, and then just take and delete those lines, and you got a ball on top. That's what I should have done on that one. Matter of fact, I am. I totally don't like that whatsoever. I'm going to, we'll just take the virtual segment delete, or take a line and then take the virtual segment delete key and delete this. And we can delete this line now. And we're going to leave that one like that, but just kind of put a ball on it. So I'm going to There's no midpoint here, so what we're going to do is take a 2-point line and go from there to there, and then get the ellipse tool and go to the midpoint of that one, the center, holding down the control button and the shift key, and do the same thing. Now on both these, we need to take the Smart Fill tool and fill these in. So we're going to fill that in and nudge it over, fill that in and nudge it over. And I don't know what happened to this one. I must have hit another key. So there are 4 spindles, and since we use the Smart Fill tool, we could, whoop, those were kind of connected together somehow. I don't know how that is, break curve apart. So now we have individual spindles. That one I made a 2 copy of. We're gonna need some that are a little bit longer. So let's take them all and left click, right click, and that made them all airline. We can need this a little bit longer. We can hold down the control button and move it up. You know, if you don't like that, you can delete that. So I'm not spending a lot of time on this part of it. Excuse me. And then you need to figure out how big this thing is. We need to make it a little bit bigger. And we're going to take an ellipse. And let's say he's going to start out with a 5-inch mirror. And I'm going to hit P and put it in the center of the page. Well, you can already tell that these are not big enough. I've got something right there. Then I'm going to take the longest one and I'm going to hit P and put it in the center of the page. And then holding down the control button, I'm going to move it up till it gets about right there. Maybe a little bit taller. And I'm going to change my nudge factor like 0.25, and I'm going to just nudge that up a little bit. Now I am going to double click on the rotation and move it to there. Now I need to figure out the degree, and I can get out a calculator, but let's go to Windows, Dockers, Transform, and there's 21 of these. I had a leak a while ago, that's what happened. There's 21 of these spindles. So we need to grab this one that's rotated in the middle. We're going to go 360 divided by 21. And we get 7.143. And it doesn't really matter. I made too many copies. I didn't mean to. I just wanted to see what the deal was. I'm just going to make 1 copy now and move it over. And then I'm actually going to delete this one. And then I'm going to hit P. Let me zoom in here so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to hit P, and I'm going to control, well, I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to hold down the control button until that's kind of top dead center. Double click on it and get it to the center. And we're going to rotate this. We want 2 copies this time. And see it put one past, so we can delete that other one and delete this one. Then we're going to hit P and holding down the control button so it's perpendicular and move the rotation to here. And there's a lot of ways you could do this, rotating, but now we're going to do that same degree for 3. And we're going to delete, make sure you delete the right one, and we didn't. So what you can do then is move it out of the way a little bit and delete this one, and then move that back with the same arrow keys. We can definitely not get that one because this one's shorter. So we need 1 more, so we're going to delete this one. And then there, like I said, there's several ways to do this. And I'm going to put it right there, and there's our 4. So just remember 17.4. 17 point, I'm going to write that down. 17.143. It's good to have it handy right there. Now I am going to, there's 4 of them. So I'm going to go Control G to group them. And then I'm going to double click on the rotation. And you could do the math times 4. But I'm just going to do it times 1. And just keep clicking around. Well, for some reason it's making copies and it's leaving there. So we're going to have to do it. Let's go Control D to duplicate it. And, oh man, what am I going to do? You know what? We can use the rotation up here because it won't make copies. 17.143. And then just hit delete, duplicate again. We're going to go and nudge this out of, well, I'm kind of going by the seat of my pants right now. We're going to nudge this one out of the way. So there's our original. We're going to delete that one. We're going to put this one back. We're going to grab this one and delete it. And try to grab that one. Nope, that's the original. I'm sure people that know what they're doing are going to kind of be laughing. Anyway, let's just try that. So now we got that many of them. Let's Control G to group it. And let's rotate it. Let's try this. So this is all one group now. There's no copies. We're going to, let's try this. 17.143 times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's see if this even works. Nope. Well, you know what? I didn't have the rotation in the center. 17.143 times 8. It did, but I didn't make a duplicate. So Control D to make a duplicate. I've never done this before. Times 8. Look at that. Let's Control D again. And now we've got 137, so we're just going to type in plus 137.144. Look at that. Well, we got too many. But what we can do is break these apart. And I'm sure, I'm kind of in a hurry. I'm fixing to get on a plane to Las Vegas to teach my class. And let's delete these, move those back. And we're one short. So, you know, I would maybe pick a long one, ungroup these. I know I'm making a mess of this. Ungroup these again. Take that one and Control D, and we're going to rotate it. See, it's already, this is the hard part. Let's put it to 0. And now let's rotate it in a negative 17.143. And there we go. Now, that was a little more problematic than I thought. Hopefully you can figure out a better way. Now we want the mirrors. He's going to put let's say he's going to put a 4-inch mirror. So we're going to Control D and make a duplicate and make the mirror inside 4 inches. But now we need to set our nudge factor on something that'll take these out of the way. And we're at 13, so let's put our nudge factor on 15. And we need to nudge that circle out of the way so we can weld this. And this is the time that you could stretch and make some of them longer, you know, very easily. But we're just going to go ahead and weld it. And here's our first circle. There's our first mirror. Now, you've got to take into the fact that I'm not doing this to scale. And I'm actually going to try to make it a little bit bigger. You know, he knows what size he's going to make it. So let's just move that back. Now I can get rid of that. Now I would suggest making a lot of circles. You know, this is, well, let's make this circle 7 inches. because you want the same amount of border around all the mirrors. And let's just see what that is. Parallel dimension tool. We're at 0.75 of an inch. We could change that and make it perfect. So let's make a 3-inch mirror. Control D to make a duplicate. Make a 4-inch mirror. And, you know, there are probably only 2 sizes. So we're just going to go with that. Now, once you've started placing these mirrors, and you know what, for our scale, that's too big. So let's plus key that, and let's make a 2.5-inch mirror. And then just start, so we got a larger one on top, and you know, this is one we probably should have stretched out. And because we can grab those nodes and make this thing, if you hold down the control button, it'll make it taller. And we could actually make this one the tallest one. But we're going to take that first circle, and it's a bigger one, so we're going to put it like right there in the middle. Now, here's what you need to do to make this work to weld. And you can move it over just a hair. And this is the part, if you remember 15, we'll change our nudge factor to 0.02, and we could nudge that over and then immediately change it back to 15. So what we need to do is make this circle. Let's say I messed up, and let's make the next circles have a 1/4 inch gap. So we're going to control D and make a duplicate and make this 2.5. But then I need to nudge that out of the way. And then if you just do this every time, so let me make sure I kind of messed up there. Let's nudge that out of the way and nudge that out of the way. Let's nudge it out twice. So these are going to be our test circles. So we've got one circle there. I know this is probably confusing, but we're going to weld that circle into there. So just take the weld tool. Then we can nudge this right back. And why did that happen? You know what? I messed up and didn't use one of these. So we're going to put that there. And it should click right to the center because there's some sort of a center object there. Well, there's not. So let's back up here. I messed up. Before you weld that, let's move this back to the center. Forget this one. Control D to make a duplicate and make it 2.5 inches. Nudge that out of the way, along with this out of the way, and then grab this. And I would weld it every time I put a new item in there. And then just remember, don't touch these. So these are 2.5 inch circles, so there's some smaller ones that we're going to put here and move it, you know, try to get it right in the middle. I want to hit the plus key on the keyboard, put another one here. I did a little better there. I'm going to change my, I can't move the mouse that minutely correctly. So I'm going to change it back to 15. I'm going to take this circle and make this a Control D and make a 2-inch circle. And this would all depend on your mirrors. You know, what size mirrors you're going to put in there. Now, I didn't make a duplicate of that one, so Control D and make it a 2-inch mirror. Now take your 2-inch mirrors and nudge them out of the way. Now, do this and weld it. Where did I put the 2-inch mirrors? Let me back up here. I'm not doing a very good job today, folks. There we go. Make sure you just, I should zoom in. So there's our 2-inch mirrors. We're going to weld that together and now take all these and nudge them back. Well, nudge that once, nudge that twice, and nudge that one twice. So now you have spots for the mirror. And if you just kind of copy that all the way around, I know this is possibly the worst video I've ever made as far as help, but there's what you're going to look like. And of course, if we did it in this colored brass, but you know, you could use the spindles that I found or something like it. And you know, some of these are just balls and then loops, you know, that could be really easily made. You know, this has some slope, and you know, more of them have balls on the end, but could be very easily made. And it wouldn't take you very long, you know, but I would start off with your circle in the middle, what it's going to be before I start anything else, and then kind of figure out, well, if that circle's that big and, you know, this item is this big, because I did reduce this thing. This thing is probably, you know, that big or bigger. Hopefully, because the CNC router would have trouble getting in that. But that's what I would do. And then after you filled in with the mirrors, you could take your item and left click, right click, and there's your mirror hole. And I'm guessing he's going to, you know, glue the mirror to the back. I don't know. And you, like I said, you could change, you know, any of them. It'd be easier to change them when they're, you know, like this one's straight up and down, but these aren't. So let's say you want to make one of these, you know, and it's not going to rotate perfectly. That's the problem, because we're elongated. But you could rotate it half of 17.14 divided by 2. And then that one is straight up and down. So all I did was type in that, and it's 8.57. And then you could take this one and straight up and down, and you could elongate it quite a bit or do whatever you want to with it. And then I would delete some nodes to make it more even. But you'd probably want to do that before you even start. Pretty cool project. I wish I had more time to get into a little bit more or do a better job. But I hope that helped. Thank you for watching.